everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Luminary Leaders Live. I'm your host, Shelly Harrison, and I have a guest with me today. You can see him there. He is one of our premium episode guests that's on today, and his name is Mark Maes, and he is the president of Maes and Associates. And I want to kind of take a little bit of a break and mention we want to thank our sponsor of the show, which is Endeavor Mortgage, and that's Dan Leonard. Dan Leonard is the vice president of Endeavor Mortgage out in Seal Beach, and we want to give him a big thank you for sponsoring this show. So, Mark, welcome to Luminary Leaders Live. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you, Shelly. It's a privilege to be here, and thank you so much for the invitation.
Yeah.
And I want to say thank you to Dan as well.
Yes, I agree. Absolutely. And you know Dan personally, too.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. Awesome guy.
Yeah. Well, we are streaming live on a couple of different platforms today. So, we definitely want to let our guests know about you, what you do. And I want to give a little shout out because I've been working with you for over 6 years. And we met through the city of Corona, through, the Corona Chamber of Commerce initially. And then we've worked together, we've done a lot of events together and just, some really cool things that, that are part of your business, part of my business. Yeah. Well, let's hear about you. I want to hear what wildly gets you excited about your business.
Well, excited. I'm always excited about my business. You know me. I'm excited. The High Five is just such a powerful program. And we've been working behind the scenes for quite a while. We work directly with clients, and inside of corporations and in cities. But we've had the great privilege through the National Veterans Chamber of Commerce to create an online learning platform. And now we've created that same platform for the private sector. So now anybody can go there and go to these online courses and learn the High Five program and really understand the horsepower.
Right. And give our audience kind of an idea of what is the High Five and what does it mean?
High Five. It stands for High Five is High Five Priority Business Mapping. And the High Five is just the short of it. And really what it stands for and it represents is our program. We've been running business for 40 years now on the structure of the High Five and developing it through the process. And probably about 9 years ago, we started focusing strictly working on business instead of the business we were working on. And it's really been powerful to help other business owners. People want to succeed, just most often they don't know how. And, we only know what we know. So sometimes we just need that support, just that peace of mind, that little bit of hope. And that's what the High Five does. It simplifies the complexity of business. And it really just breaks it down into those 5 groups. Yes, go ahead.
And it really does. No, and I was going to say that my company has been operating on the High Five since you and I, started working together. And those 5 different departments, let's hear what those 5 departments are, because I think every business owner is going to be able to relate to those 5 departments.
Yeah. And the whole High Five is built around the way we are as human beings, the way we act naturally, are the NLP of operations for us, the way we react to colors, to count, to leadership and to culture. So it really takes it and breaks it down. And I compare the High Five to like an engine, and it has those 5 gears, and that's what the High Five is. And then the oil, like an engine, is the mindset, the leadership, and the culture of an organization. And when you can get those dialed into what your business is, what you're really trying to accomplish, it really kind of trims off the excess and gets your people focused on one vision, everybody working collectively, tapping into the synergy of your people. We're blessed to have all that we need to accomplish all that we desire, but we got to do it a certain way. It comes with a responsibility.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And the 5 departments, when you really boil them down, it's, sales.
It's marketing. Yeah. The yellow is marketing, the first of the 5. The second, orange, is sales. The third, green, finance and administration, the HR component. And the fourth is blue, operations. And the fifth is growth. And it represents brand and company growth management, being mindful about causing the successes you dream of instead
Yeah.
of hoping someday they show up on your front porch, because we know it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and those colors really are your
Yeah.
logo, where it really identifies each and every department separately. And the one big thing that I've learned from you, and this is just going back, several years ago, are building the systems that I needed within my company.
Yeah.
And as soon as I implemented the high five, I mean, things just changed radically, in such a great way, because now I understood, even though I had the background of banking, for 27 years, I never operated a company, but I had a pretty good understanding. So utilizing, all those different departments and systematizing and really understanding the kind of the functionality of my company, it made it easier to really develop programs, to onboard clients, and all those things that are important when you're running an organization.
Yes.
So for
Yeah.
you, Mark, what
Mhm.
what do you see as the biggest pain point for businesses right
Is
now?
really having that peace of mind that supports their hope. Most business owners I work with, that I meet, their answers are right there at their fingertips. But they're working as hard as they can. They're doing everything. We don't make mistakes. Every intention is not outcome, and we don't make mistakes on purpose, but we make mistakes. And
Right.
understanding what those minor changes are, those alignment changes that allows it to flow from the front to the back, the fluidity of business. And when you can tap into that and stop working against the synergies of business, like swimming upstream, it just changes that. And that's what I find when we can get alongside of business owners and help them understand, look, what's perfect look like? Let's just break it down. Let's start fresh. What does perfect look like? And we identify that. And then we clarify, what is it going to take to accomplish that? And then we put the resources and processes in place to mediate and cause that to happen. So
Yeah.
it's
And
really powerful.
it is. And, when you say those words, what does perfect look like? And
Yes.
if you
Yeah.
start there, it's like,
Yes.
well, it's easy, this is what
Yes.
would look like. Let's get there, let's
Yeah.
accomplish this. And that's kind of the functionality of all those different departments. What does perfect look like? Well, pulling all these, different components together, it could definitely help a company be much more, they're able to build their revenue, they're able to create new products and, build teams and systems and all of those things.
Right. And when you're not sure, it really changes the momentum of what you're doing. And that question, what's perfect look like? Of course, it's not that we're going to acquire or accomplish perfect every time, but it sets the standard. And once we can set those goals and we can cause ourselves to think that way and start realizing that if we become deliberate about our mindset, then it supports the deliberate, correct behavior. Then we can accomplish these things. People are not afraid to work hard. They're just oftentimes misunderstanding what are the right things to be working on. And that's why the vision mapping is so important. It allows you the time to really go back and think about business. And, so many business owners have been in business for 25 years, and this business is nothing like what they went into business to do. Now it's become a result of, and they want to, get it back in track, but they understand the differences. And we can, if we will. And that's the value of what perfect looks like, because it even takes the person that's willing to think, because we all go through a season or a time or a moment of stinking thinking. And you really want to be mindful about that it happens. It happens to everybody. Don't shame yourself over it, but just own it, understand that you can change that, and then take the steps to make the changes. And that's really what the high five does.
Most
Clarifies
definitely.
those.
Yeah. And, and I think back to when we first started, and I'll never forget, I was doing a lot of in-person meetings. So this was pre-COVID.
Yeah,
And a lot of times, I would have my phone or I'd have a pad, and, meeting with people, you want something visual. So you need something a little bit
yes,
bigger.
yes.
And I was reluctant to get a mini iPad, right? And he said, just go
Mm,
get it. If you need it, you need to make that
I
purchase.
remember
And
that.
I thought, oh my gosh, when I look back and I think, wow, I'm way past that now, because, now I have equipment and I, have
Yeah,
furniture
yeah,
and
yeah,
all those
yeah.
things in my
People,
business.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
think of that. That's really how it is for most of us. That you won't embrace those things because oftentimes we're a product of our environment. Maybe we didn't learn that. We didn't learn that empowerment. We didn't have that mentorship, But the fact of the matter is just because you didn't learn it then does not mean you can't learn it now.
Right.
And that's the time. It's the time. Now is the time to step into these things that you desire, things that you want, but it just realize it takes the effort. You got to get up and you got to make sacrifices. And if you're not willing to do that, then business is not your game. But if you are, you can surely accomplish your successes by
Oh,
working the plan.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
What advice would you give? Right now, knowing that we're coming out of COVID to a degree, I think there's
Right.
a lot of good things that are finally coming through.
Mhm.
What do you
Mhm.
think are some of those things that business owners need to get under and start, implementing or doing right now?
Great question. Great question. I would have to say, really, to take a breath and
Mhm.
understand that it's a different time now, and to just embrace that, and to be mindful to have mentorships and power partners. I
Yeah.
talk about those 5 departments. I say to business owners, the ones we work with, you want to have power partners in all 5 of those departments. You
Oh,
want to be
absolutely.
able to tap in and create those collaborative partnerships that benefit the partner, benefits your organization, and benefits the community and businesses that you can work with. And so
Yeah.
often business owners miss that, because as business owners, we think it's a world all by ourselves. On Friday, everybody goes home and you're stuck in the office trying to figure out how to make payroll. And it's no fun that way.
That's very
But, but
thoughtful.
when you have resources, mentorships that can show you through things, if you're struggling in your financing, um, one of the first things that is just so enlightening for small business owners is the piece they don't understand is the accounting.
Yeah.
They don't reach out to a local assistant that knows QuickBooks, that can help them take those spreadsheets and all those different ways we can do it outside of an accounting system and get it in an accounting system. Because I don't
Yeah.
care if you're making $1, you want to know where that's coming and where that's going, and you really can't do that accurately without a closed accounting system. And then
That's
being able
right.
to have those numbers in front of
Yeah.
you, the horsepower that it gives you within your organization to make decisions, to support the decisions that you make, the changes that need to be made, and the changes that you make, because you have it all. We just got to do something.
We do. And I want to give a shout out to my uh, amazing, she does all of our books and QuickBooks with Luminary Leaders, Levon Shields. And I'm
Yeah,
going to tag Levon because she is exceptional. She's
yes,
a
she is.
whiz when it comes to, and again, that was a recommendation, from you when you originally had said you need a CPA, you need, all of these
Yeah,
things that I put into place. So shout out to Levon.
yes. And
Um,
I know Levon. She's awesome. She jumps in the trenches. And that's really the kind of accounting support you need.
yeah.
Great horsepower, great experience at a very, very fair price.
Oh,
Yeah.
most
Yeah,
definitely.
no
Yeah.
doubt.
So when you think of, the clients that you work with,
Hmm.
what do you enjoy most? And discounting me, because I know you and I work together.
Yeah, yeah.
But what do you really enjoy when it comes to the consulting that you do and the change that you see happening with your clients? What is
Oh,
it that
yeah, it's
really?
it's the empowerment piece. It's
Mhm.
taking people that the breath that comes out of their mouth might be "I can't," and to watch them understand and
Oh,
learn to own the statement of "I can."
Yeah.
Because that's really a big part of what we have. The mechanics, the high five, the structure, the processes, rock solid, bulletproof, no questions about it. But really the dance is in people's heart and minds. And how can we get that right minded? Because you can't, all the money in the world, you hear the statement, won't buy you happiness. And I can attest to that. It really doesn't. The happiness is inside of us, and being able to take your gifts and talents to understand, or really understand what that is and how you're connected to God, and whatever you serve. I just say that to tap into that changes the game of life for everybody. And we just don't understand that when you can connect with, line up God and God's purpose for us, and then we tap into what are our gifts and talents and how do we apply those, and then how do we reach out and draw in what we need for the succession, those things show up.
Yeah.
But the problem is that most people don't understand that. They've never been shared that. They've never seen that happen. So therefore, they go through their entire life thinking that it's them doing it. And you know as well as I do, it's furthest from the truth. Takes a team, takes a village. Success does.
It does. It really does. And, when you do work with clients and some of the things that you would start with, so let's say you have a business that's been operating for 10 years and maybe their sales are, $2 million. What would you kind of go in there and start with when you have a consulting session? Pardon?
The owner and the people. I'm sorry for speaking.
No, that's good. That's good. The owner and the people.
Because we're a wealth of information. Our people. It's not how to process it. Maybe what is not the correct perspective of the data, but they have the data. And being able to just sit down and listen to them, just ask them poignant questions. We have a structure, as you know, that we go through. We ask very specific questions, and we just let them talk. We record the sessions. All of that is private, and it's all their copies. And we show them how to process and break down those elements. What starts off with, what does perfect look like? And then we extract and identify the key topics of that. Then we go behind those key topics and support them with SMART goals, not regular goals, but SMART goals, because they're the ones that will happen. And then once you apply the SMART goals, it causes you to break out the action steps that it takes, and it all just integrates into the system. From that, you can identify budgets, timelines, everything you need. And when you can take that information and put it in front of your people from the beginning as just the normal process, guys, team, men and women, this is what it looks like. This is what the success of this project or this year in our business or this quarter, and you can share that. Again, people want to succeed. They just most often don't know how. So if you can do that, you'll change the way people operate. And then when you can connect that to an incentive program that comes out of the profits that they can create, so it doesn't affect the ownership's profit at all. It's all out of the direct cost. That changes the game of business. It makes all of your operational people owners. They have skin in the game. Makes a difference. And I want to bring this point to light, is that if you think about it, in those 5 departments, 78% of the businesses in the world start from the blue, operations, meaning they're really good at their craft. Maybe they're good cabinet makers, so they go into a cabinet business. Maybe they invent things and they go into the business of the item that they invent. Maybe it's, they go into clothing or merchandise, whatever they know, but they go in there, they start receiving a demand. And then the next thing you know, they're in business and they really don't have much experience in the other 4 departments.
Yeah.
When you can understand that and utilize that and understand the business is linear, it's the process. The purple is really the org chart on top of the organization, growth. What's our company look like? What do we want it to look like? How do we accomplish that? You set those standards at that level, and then you empower those other 4 departments to do what they do that supports the vision of the organization. And it changes the protocol, the processes and the efficiencies.
It truly does. And when you look at all of those different departments, where do you like to spend most of the time in which, knowing that most businesses start 78% really start with
Sure, yeah,
operations. Where do you like to start on?
well, we usually the rush is to marketing because it's all tied around sales. Everybody wants to grow their business and have more sales, but it's
Yeah.
so often, you'd be surprised the percentages of how many businesses that want more sales would actually crush them and put them out of business. So
Because they
at
don't have
the
the
same time,
bandwidth.
yeah,
Yeah.
you might not be profitable.
Yeah.
So many businesses can stay alive because of the cash flow, but they're not profitable in their projects. So it takes them a long time. They've got to go through a couple life savings maybe, and all the equity and assets that they had to invest into the business before they run out of money and it has to end. You don't want to have to do that. And if you know the numbers, you'll never let that happen. But really, I would say we do it collectively. So as we come in and we meet the owner and we listen to them from the very first day we meet them, we're making a difference in their organization. And usually we'll look at the numbers, we'll listen to the people, we'll look at the sales, we'll look at the marketing and what they've been doing in the past, how that's worked for them and what they need to be doing now. What is their tech stack?
Yeah, and I have to apologize because I have been on meetings all day today and my battery just went out, which I haven't had that happen before. So let me switch out my battery. And
Great photo. Great photo.
And that's a good example of how most people need to make sure that they have photos for their company, right?
Yes. That's a point that's come up with a client most recently about the protocol of Zoom and where does the picture stand over a logo, over a name, over live.
And what was the outcome of that? Because that would be interesting, knowing
it was exactly this. You stepped in and you proved the benefit and purpose of having the photo in there. You could have a logo. The data that I've reviewed indicates that the first is the live, always the live. Even in a meeting, if the host isn't live, it affects the impact of the meeting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then the next one would be to have a picture. And then the next one would be to have your logo. And then if nothing else, have your name.
Yeah. And here I am.
Welcome back.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, I just had to switch out my battery. So note to self, I do have 3 batteries and I used all 3 of them today. But that's just something that, it's par for the course.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to remind our audience, you're watching Luminary Leaders Live. I have my guest today, Mark Maes, who's the president of Maes and Associates. And he's also the creator of the High 5 Priority Business Mapping. And we have our sponsor, who is Dan Leonard with Endeavor Mortgage. And we want to thank Dan for continuing to sponsor the show. And back to you, Mark. I have just one final question for you, and we're going to wrap up the show. But I know you have a program that has many different moving parts. And can you talk about that? Because you've been working on this project for some time with your team and get it out to business owners.
Yes, this has been years of work pulling this together, and it's just it's powerful. I'm so glad to be a part of it. So you can go on our website at maesandassociates.com. maesandassociates.com, and you can go to the H5 LMS course and see the information. But really what it is, it's the product of, it's an educational course of exactly the same thing that we coach and do business with. We work with businesses and we implement this High 5 process. You can go on these online courses and go through. It's broken down into 2 parts. Phase 1 is broken down into 2 parts. Part 1 is the what of business. And we go through each one of those 5 departments and we explain to you what that is, what goes on in those departments. And then there's tests to make sure that you're learning the information. And then part 2 is the how. And it's vision to outcome succession. And we really show you how to implement the high five process. So we give you the forms, and we go through all of the educational, and at each session, when you're done, you have your own documented business plan on how you're going to run your business, how you're going to facilitate and be successful in your marketing and in your sales and in your finance and administration and in your operations and in your overall company, the growth of it. And you're going to be managing and identifying both the brand and how important that is for your organization, as well as the profitability of your company, and just the performance of your organization. And when you're marketing and managing a business, you really want to be mindful about that. So in these courses, they provide you all of the components. Then when you're done, you walk out of there with a complete binder. And in our case, for years, we've sold that binder for $10,000. Our clients would hire us. We'd go in. It'd take us about 2 to 3 months, sit down, spend days with them and understanding what's going on in the organization. And this can now teach them how to do it. So we're going to be developing and rolling out drill down courses in each one of those 5 departments.
Mastermind sessions too, right? Yeah, mastermind sessions and other kind of components to go along with this program.
Yes, we support that we have membership programs where you can just become a member of High Five, and then we have, you get a certain package. We meet, we're a part of your team. We get right alongside of the owners at all of the levels of the membership programs. Then we have mastermind groups where we bring in and group business owners, and we don't let the groups grow any larger than 12. And we really work and network and brand grow their organization, taking them to the next level, but working together collectively in the same group. So it's really powerful.
Very powerful. Very powerful. Well, and I've seen, the kind of the process and, the things that have been happening while this has been, really being brought together with your team and everything that's going on with the program and how it's going to work and who it's going to benefit. And I think, last question, because I know I said the last one was our last question.
Right ahead.
But who is this designed for, the program?
For business owners, entrepreneurs, even on the mindset side, I really want to see us roll out a level at the high school level that can really help the young men and women understand who they are and what their potential is. Because anymore, we don't know where we come from, but when we get to a certain age, we surely know where we want to go. And we don't want to be without the tools and resources that we already have to get where we're going. So to be at that level and to help people understand that there's ways to think. There's ways that you can overpower stinking thinking. You can change habits. You do not have to be, just because you're not good at something now doesn't mean you won't be good at it tomorrow. And I really stress that with
continued development. Continued development. And, and again, I love the idea of just don't say that you can't.
Yes.
You can.
I can't, never will. Right. That's right.
That's right. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Mark, because, we've known each other for quite some time and been a huge part of my business. And I'm happy that, we were able to bring you out today and talk about business and talk about your new program. And we'll make sure that we follow up so that people know that they can have access to this program. And, once it launches and comes out. We want to thank our audience for being a part of the program today and the broadcast. And please subscribe to Luminary Leaders Live to catch other wonderful episodes just like this. So thank you again. And we want to wish everybody a wonderful week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shelley. Thank you to your team. What a privilege.
All right. Thanks, Mark.